Assalamu alaikum. Masal khair al jamii. We would like to welcome all of you today for our session, which is going to be about how to write and develop research questions presented by Mr. Mohammad Haseen. So, Mr. Mohammad, the floor is yours. You may start now.
Thank you, Dr. Basim. It's indeed an honor for me to be among you distinguished people. Actually, Dr. Basim has made my task very easy in one sense. If you guys who are attending today have already attended Dr. Basim's session, in fact, we had gone at length to delineate upon the whole gamut of thesis writing and dissertation. I'm simply trying to impress upon one aspect of it that starts with coming up with a key question, and that's the research question. Now, if I have to ask you a question uh, about what pops up in your head occasionally and you are really bothered of, and you feel like uh, deliberating upon it, you feel like thinking about it at length, you feel like going out of way to answer the question. It may be in your professional career, it may be in your academic pursuit, it could be something that has been, prompting you to think a bit deeply. So if I ask you guys, what comes to your head when you think of a research question? Guys, I want you to come up with something in the chat box, and I really want much more participation from you guys because solving problems, rather qari. Yeah. So, what kind of problem? Is it something personal? Personal? Universal? Social? What kind of problems? Issue in the community? Yes. Yeah, you're right. I mean, it could be social milieu, social networking, social community. It could be some aspects of our social life, social engineering. In fact, when we think of research, it's not about searching something new. What do you think? Are we looking for, are we aiming for searching something new? Are we going to discover? Are we going to invent something? Not really. Yeah, psychological research question is revolutionary. Yeah. Could you elaborate upon this? Like, in what way it can be revolutionary, adding to the gap of knowledge? Okay, so how could it be revolutionary? I mean, you're coming up with something altogether different? Probably, yeah. Sometimes when we dig deeper and we try to carve out a niche for ourselves in any domain, like academic, I'll call this academic jungle, like our academic world is full of bizarre things. We need to think, ponder, we have to keep, asking our fellow men, our colleagues, we need to retrospect also. So research probably is not a question that just being answered. In fact, in one sentence, if I have to explain or someone has to look at it, it's a question, a topic that actually gets answered over the time with your research. So suppose to begin with, if I say social media is toxic. Now, this is too general, too broad a term. Of course, I mean, it could be toxic, but it can be equally beneficial for the entire community. So it's toxic for whom? For what? Where? So we have to zero in sometimes a question that has got to be answered. Like it's not something that's in the air. That's something imaginary, something simply. So obviously, research is a search for a gap for improving upon what has been already, investigated, already has been dealt with, and so developing research questions like it's hovering around or pinpointed, like look at this picture and all. I mean, if we're talking about animal world species, now this question could be as simple as, can animals think? Now, this is too broad, and probably we'll have to talk about not only the mental state, thinking, being, or it's got a rationale, or is it purposeful? Yeah, Dina, yeah, you're right. I mean, it has to be purposeful. Of course, I mean, whatever we do is with the meaning, with the purpose. Now, what animals are on the endangered species list? Like most of you, can you think of some of the animals in the endangered species list? Guys, give me only two endangered. How many likely to get extinct? Lion. At least, alhamdulillah, we have at least a couple of them, thousands. Probably could be endangered in certain places, but still, yeah, blue whale, yeah, it could be one of the, endangered species. And that's why we have moratorium and a ban, complete ban on the hunting of blue whales. Now, like dodo bird has got already extinct. Now, if we research about that, why should we spend our time and energy on something like dodo bird, an extinct species? So now many of you come up with a list of endangered species. Could it be a research question, guys? What do you think? Could it be a research question? Listing out the names or the nomenclature or the simply categorizing the endangered species. I mean, what's the big deal? You just, with the click of a button on Google, and you get a whole host of lists all over the world. What's the big deal? So it couldn't be a research question. Okay. What are the rules and regulations for hunting games in the United States? Could it be a good question? Can we deliberate upon and find out something new about this? Rules and regulations? Or are they already stipulated? Yeah, actually, as we find the list of endangered species, so goes with the rules and regulations. And most of the rules and regulations are the same, like don't feed them, don't play with them in the open, keep away from them, try to befriend them, try to. The question doesn't fix any problem. Yeah, that's true. Like, okay, think of a problem that this animal world is faced with. How can you come up with a problem with a real issue that has not been, at length deliberated upon before? Can you think of something? Dana Yehia or anyone, can you think of something about the animals that really, pose a real question? And supposedly, if I say, okay, so supposedly, I'm just thinking of, supposedly if we just correlate it with climatic changes. Now, why are they getting extinct? Is it because of climate changes, the rise in the temperature? Is it because of the changes in the patterns of the atmospheric pressure? But that would be like scientific research on what factors account for their fast disappearance or like evolution or the extinction, or what is actually driving them. what is causing them to get extinct, or why are they losing their habitats? What are these kind of effects of animals? Yeah. So probably that could be a better option to research on, right? I mean, if we can correlate with the climate. We can correlate with, like, domestic or wild. I mean, we can also talk about, like, some of them have, like, human qualities. Some of them are intelligent, like dolphins. We can talk about their intelligence quotient, and probably in future, what kind of verbal or internal language do they possess? Can they communicate with the humans, or will in future will have an application that will allow us to be able to communicate with them effectively? And supposedly that happens, what would be the consequences of that? Will it be negative or positive? So that could give us some room for delving deeper and coming up with some kind of issues, that I mean, some of the thorny issues, some of the, yeah, extinction issues, problems. Now the extinction issues might vary from place to place. When you go to Africa, you find plenty of lions, plenty of elephants, and I mean, where the entire half of the Africa is like in a theme park or a jungle full of, but that's not the case in other places. Now we have driven them away from. So what I'm trying to impress upon you, that when we think of a research question, try to broaden its, and try not to broaden it too much, because the whole world cannot be your domain. We have limitations, right? Yeah, we can go for generalizing. By the way, generalizable. Shahada Fari, you have invented a word now. There's nothing like generalizable. Actually, the noun form is generalization. So, in fact, when we go for research question, we have to take care of the wording. I mean, the right kind of words to come up with, because each word counts. So, to tell you the fact, what is research question? In fact, that you know uh, I'm trying to, I'm getting the, guys, I'm trying to uh, do the uh, sharing with drive. Why? Because I'm getting bothered every minute by people coming in and out, coming in and out. So I'm going to share the application from the, like, this, and I guess you can see the slide, right, guys? Yeah, yeah. Oh, still the same. Yeah. Oh my gosh. So, I was talking about, yeah, what kind of questions will offer us greater room, better avenues, better opportunities, where we can have, better chances of developing our research. Now look at this. What do you find? What do you see here, guys? Guys, what do you see on the screen? I mean, is it a kind of onion? Yeah. Why I'm showing you an onion? In this workshop, I'm showing you an onion. Now, see some of the other things, like other vegetables, red pepper, and then we have other vegetables. Now, what's the idea of showing you an onion? Now, it's like research, coming with the research questions, like peeling away the rim, the outer layer, and it's like scanning, and a deeper and deeper, and going layer by layer, until reach a point where we have the crux to the problem. We call it the core. I mean, you see, the core belongs to here. So when we start the research, we really start with a bang, with loads and loads of information that we need to glean out. We need to really, in fact, we have to get rid of, declutter ourselves, because once we go to the research methodologies and the way we start digging, we'll come up with loads of information and pruning it, like getting rid of the external unnecessary, yeah, and we have to reach here. I mean, we're starting from here and we have to reach here. And when we peel off the onion, what kind of experience do you have, guys? Have you ever done it? Guys, have you ever done this? All of us have done it. One point of our life, we have always, peeled up the onion, and we start crying, tears. Yeah. So coming up with a research question and really getting to the destination, reaching the station is definitely going to give you a hard time, and you're going to cry and your balls out. Like you will be really working hard. You'll be thinking quite thickly, and sometimes you will find nothing, and you'll find, oh, all the layers were rotten, and what were inside was nothing but hollow, empty space. So the first right step, and the first, I mean, like the desirable aspect is to how to come up with the right kind of question before we actually start, you know, how should the question be? Now, I want you to have a look. Actually, I want you to read it. Read uh, some of the focal points of what counts towards. Yes, Salem, the most interesting part of cooking. Yes, of course, without onion, nothing can be cooked. But the thing is, that's the most important, I mean, like complex tasks, peeling away, then cutting, chopping, and then frying, and then using as ingredient. So what are you going to be, your ingredients in your research? Guys, can you come up with some of the ingredients in research? Guys, yes. Data, okay, yeah, of course. Without data, you won't be representing things, Clear, not too general, not too hard, easy to get, researchable object. Yeah. Yes, of course. I mean, if there's something you cannot dig deeper, like researchable, you don't find enough information, what's the point? Because you can't create all the information on your own. We have limited capability of getting the right kind of information, graphs, data, analytical skills, and I mean, we need most of the applications and already. So, in order to make our task easier, we have to be clear and focused. Our topic shouldn't be too broad, neither too narrow. If you say a narrow topic like, okay, the climate is hot in Jeddah, do you think it will make a good research topic? It's too narrow, man. I mean, like everybody knows it's hot in Jeddah because of climatic conditions. Yeah. So, and what are you going to say? What are you going to research about? If you say, because it's a fact. Moreover, I mean, the first thing you should begin with when thinking of a question should be, can you come up with a word? I mean, when you think of a question, what should be your guiding principles, guys? Your guiding principle. Now, I mean, when you think of a question, the guiding principle, what should be your guiding principle? Give me one word. Anybody out there, and give me one word. You have to begin with what? Readings? No, of course we have to read a lot. But when you simply imagine, or just think of coming up with a good question, applicable. It has to be applicable in the context. Yeah. No, even before that, what comes to mind? I mean, you should begin with what? You should begin with what? You should begin with actually not reading. Actually, what, where, when, how? Yeah, of course, these are five cardinal questions. In fact, you should begin with being unbiased. You understand what is the bias? Yeah. So when you start digging or thinking of any question, forget about who you are. Forget about your personal likes and dislikes. Forget about your whims and fancies, your own impressions of things, your own conceptions, your own preconceived notions, your own predetermined, rules and rights and belief system. Forget about your belief system. I'm not going to work in research. Because when you carry loads of baggage from your past or from your professional career and you think that's right, that means you are undone. I mean, your research falls flat the moment you think color and bias, and you carry your head and you look forward with loads of, we call it jaundiced eye. So forget yourself first, and believe me, I mean, like yourself, because if you carry yourself, yeah, Nazmi, Ismail, yeah, great, objectivity. That's the word I was looking for. You need to be objective. In order to get to objective, you have to be objective. So you begin with like a clean slate, like a whiteboard, without any presumptions. So no presumptions whatsoever. No presumptions whatsoever. Because if you carry your presumptions, you're going to be misled. It's going to be misleading, and your research will be flawed. Avoid being objective. Oh, really, Hamad? No, avoid being subjective. Hamad, avoid being subjective, not objective. You have to have a critical reading, critical thinking, critical reading and thinking. So you can't be subjective, you can't carry your biases too far. Researchable. What do you mean by researchable? That means there should be enough data, whether you're using your Google Scholar, you're using your other websites where we have plenty of journals and like Sage and others. I'm going to show you all of those, where you find plenty of materials to dig deeper and bibliography. And in fact, we have a whole host of them, like reservoir of bibliography these days. So it has to be analytical thinking. Yeah, that's great, Shadi. Yeah, it has to be analytical thinking. Can be investigated within this given time frame. Yeah, time is important because you cannot research whole life one thing and you get at nothing. Including your stipulated time frame. Stipulated time frame. Why do you think this is important? Yes, literature review. Of course, when we go for literature review, we're going to have loads of reading material from. Now, what kind of research can we do? All of you wanting to take the first step into this, it's so. Normally, we have heard so much about this quality versus quantity. Then we have custom hybrid. We have mixed model where we can have. So, which one do you think is tougher, guys? Which one is tougher? Which one is more challenging or difficult? Qualitative. Why do you think so? Fatima Ghazi, why do you think this qualitative is more difficult? Yeah, because in-person interviews an audience, right? And you have to, have an insight into the personality of the individual, the one who has. I mean, like you see people, you go for interviews, you record them, you videotape them, you go for the groups. We need stronger validation, right? Yes, stronger validation because they may have some of their own whims and fancies, own biases, own color approach towards. So that in that interview, probably some people might hide most of the things. They may not open to you because there could be a cultural shock, cultural boundaries and all that. So why do we need to think before we choose a topic? Why do we need to choose a topic? Why do we need to? Why? Because the kind of environment you're living in, the people you associate with, the kind of administrative setup that you have, that would be the determining factor about who you can see, how long can you see, who will agree for interviews, how are you going to put those interview data, the number of hours, the kind of we have target groups, we have special groups, we have peer groups, we have pilot programs, and we have all kinds of. So quantitative data, it's all about, could be online web, could be phone, could be FedEx mail, central location, SEP, but still you have loads and loads of information available in plenty of places, right? Now, if we have a hard look on this comparison, what do you find in this comparison? Now let's have a comparison. Why? Because once you go for this kind of researching, you need to have an idea of, it's a total, at least you should have a rough estimation of where are you going to land and what are you going to do. Because if you don't know for sure, I mean, like, research is not baby walk. It's not as easy cake. You have to spend a precious time, lifetime. Yeah, quality research is time consuming compared to quantity research. Yeah, of course. Yeah, why? Because qualitative research is time consuming. Why do you think it takes more time? Predetermined. If it is predetermined, it could be like instrument based. So why do you think it will take more time? Performance, attitude, observational, and census, statistic analysis, statistic interpretation. Now, what will consume most of your time will be this statistic interpretation. I mean, there you are using the own language. You are simply gathering loads of data. Then you are going to put them in, like, there are ways of putting them in the files and formats. Like, how we're going to organize them? Any idea, guys? Mr. Arshad, how are we going to organize the data? What does predetermine has to do with research? Now, predetermine are certain things which you don't have to change or alter. They're already fixed. They're already fixed, but they will definitely go a long way in determining your further research. Yeah. Samia, yes, coding, loads of coding from which themes emerge. Yeah, that's great. So what kind of coding can we do? We can code the, colors, right? Highlighters, colors. What else can we use? Yeah. Those are the ways. Thematic, yeah. We can categorize them on the basis of their themes. Could be gender, could be age, could be like culture, could be like qualifications, could be the age group, and all those kind of things. Now the emerging method is qualitative. Why is it emerging? Now, because we have the whole world to research on. When we talk about social aspect, like scientific researches, there are things which are emerging. They're not fixed. Yes. So it's changing all the time. Yes, it's changing all the time. So because, like, epistemological data like corona and pandemic and all that, this is not static. Now every day, every week, every year, I mean, like, we have new viruses coming up, new challenges coming up. So it has to be open-ended. It has to be based on people's experiences. It could be, yeah, it means fluctuating. It's not fixed, right? So it's not static. It's not static. Text and image analysis, themes, pattern interpretations. Now, so we have some of the characteristics of these two methods, and we have also mixed method. Mostly we go for mixed method because that's dynamic. Yes. Oh, I didn't get my last certificate. Abu Bakr, you are more worried about certificate? Don't worry. We're here to supply one. Yeah. Inshallah, you'll get it. We'll make sure that you get it. You get the completion evaluation form and the workshop, and then if you get the right email, you get it. Okay, so in order to familiarize you with certain aspects of why, because coming up with the right kind of question that will involve all of these. Now, if I do a bit more deliberations on this, uh, we are talking about, look, virtual, now virtual ethnography actually is ethnography. Now, what is virtual? Any idea about this? Now, when we talk of virtual, is it real or is it imaginary or is it unreal? It's an unreal situation where people interact on technology, AI imaginary technology, and we can do some research and research. This is called research immersion program. It could be direct observation, it could be interviews, yes, it could be now, what kind of inquiries, like metadata? We are talking most of the time these days, metadata. Now, collecting quantitative data from users or getting information from about them. Now, when we talk about starting a research or coming with the right question, we have to think of all these limitations. If you are restricted and you're not allowed to, I mean, you have some administrative compulsions, right? For example, in our setup, in our institution, we need to go by, I mean, we have to adhere to some of the set guidelines, right? What could be those guidelines, guys? I mean, can you think of some of the guidelines, major guidelines, some of the stipulated do's and don'ts of doing researches? Give me some, guys. With the difference between quality and quantitative. Yes. Now, I've just talked about this at length. If you will watch this video later, you will get to know. Quantitative is more based on like human interactions. Sorry, qualitative, both based on human actions, actual interviews, and feedback on face-to-face and all. Quantitative is all about data gathering and permission participant. Yes, right. So we need the institutional guarantee, not only of the funding. Actually, we don't get funding so easily, but actually we get some sort of permissions from the participants, from the gender, from the age group, also the time limit, also like ethical aspects of. Now, when we talk ethical ethics, what do we think of ethics? How does the ethics involved in research come? I mean, what kind of question, I mean, root? Mohsen say, I don't get it. What do you mean by root? Confidentiality, right, right. Yes, Mughal Zahrani, you're right. I mean, we cannot barge into someone's life and simply keep bothering about them. We need to have consent letter on the one hand from the authorities, on the other hand from the recipients, the respondents, right? I mean, if my respondents and the one we are going to do research on, authenticity, yeah, right, yeah. I mean, in order to avoid plagiarism, I mean, cut and paste from all the sources from the journals and all, we integrity. And Samia, could you elaborate upon this word, integrity? That's a fine word you have used for getting at the ethical point of view. What's that? Transparency. Okay, so integrity. I mean, transparency will be included in integrity. Integrity of the researcher. That means you should be honest. You shouldn't hide the things, right? And that means you should be upfront. You should be critical. You shouldn't be subjective. You shouldn't go by his personal, likings and dislikes. You shouldn't catch someone from his own family and from his own class. Yeah. Like for example, I'm an instructor, a teacher, and you want to do some sort of real research, and I simply go by my favorite section, my favorite class. Then I'm going to cook data. Ah, okay, okay. So that means we are going to fabricate. Yeah, you're right. Yes, Mr. Archer, you're right. That means we are likely to fabricate and cook up things, and that may not be objective. Yes, you're right. So, guys, those who are wanting to start your research or dissertation or review, or simply I could be catering to that, maybe talking to now undergraduates or graduates or even postgraduates and those who have undertaken the research thing. Now, look, this is the first step, mindset. You mean mindset? We should have, remove the mindset. We should have a mindset. Sharok Abdul Rahman, we should have a mindset. We should remove the mindset. Remove, right? Also, not to convert research to go in favor of is a hypothesis. Yeah, you're right. So, guys, how do you begin your research? If you come up with a question, suppose you come up with a question, how do you start your things? How do you begin? Guys, how many of you are using Dropbox as one of the applications? Many of you, right? It gives you a free storage. Yeah? So go to Dropbox, download Drop. I mean, all of you are already using it. Create, create what? Yeah, I don't get it. This slide. Which slide? This Dropbox collecting data. Do you see the slide here? So the easier way, you go for a Dropbox, yeah, create an account, add a new folder called research to the Dropbox folder, okay? I mean, you will come up with whole host of researches, journals and articles, and you'll be lost. Believe me, it's like finding some pearls in the ocean. And start by identifying yourself. Yeah, of course, start by. So, but suppose you scribble something, you come up with a question. Then we need to come up with a sub question, like subsidiary questions. A question hovering around that question. You have to come up with some of the rudimentary, like beginning questions, because the first question that comes to mind may not always be the guiding question. So you have to, like onion, you have to peel, you have to check, balance, you have to, put it on the, scale, whether this will weigh in or weigh out. So add a new, then find and download PDF research files, save these files to one of the folder to make them easier to find later. Go to Mendeley. Guys, have you heard of Mendeley? How many of you have heard of this? Oh, great, great, great. That means you're familiar. I really found it quite helpful because download the free Mendeley apps software and install it on your computer or whatever device you're using. And then add the folder from step 2. Set Mendeley to copy and rename your files to your preferred format and copy all files to your Dropbox research folder. So this is going to be in one place all the saved files where, and then we have this annotation applications. And this could be really helpful. And there are so many other applications. I'm not prescribing this for you, but it really gives a nice way of having a good start. Uh, if I have to show you this, okay. So, guys, I'm simply removing this, and I'm going to show you this. Don't worry about the slide, and I'll get back to that. So, okay, guys, I'm trying to show you this actual Mendeley. How does it work? If I can share it here, that would be easier for you to know. So let me see if that still. Anyway, I need to go to my account to have that. So let's share it again. So I'm back to the basic. I'm not going to prescribe those applications, but that could be helpful for you to organize yourself. My primary concern now here is how to come up with a research question. But the guys, it's not just about creating a question. It's all about, because the question you will come up with, that will guide you. That will be the pole star. That will be the your friend until you reach your destination. So let's not forget the significance of how important coming with the right question is. Okay, now when you come up with the research paper introduction, like you got the some question, some sort of question. How do you? What kind of language do you use, guys? When you see this language, will it help? Will it help to some extent? Will these phrases, these are cut and dried phrases, will it help to come with some of the, like research has a long tradition, academic language. Yeah, we need to have a cut and dried academic language because we cannot play out with the words and we cannot think of something else. This world, the academic world, I mean, the research world is unique. It's bizarre. I'll call it an academic bizarre jungle. I mean, like a forest, and you're likely to get lost until you know your path out. In fact, no GPS, works when you once you get lost with it. Until you have a framework, a guiding principles, and then you are going to improve upon. So, academic inform what's used in research. Yeah, of course, economic study use like these approaches have been influential in the field because of. So, because of will give you the reason, right? Then the past several decades have played an important role in. Now you come up with a new question here. So your question will come here. The question that you are going to ask, that will be, I mean, your research will be that will come here. There are growing appeals for. Now, can you come up with something here, guys? Think of, suppose these are the beginning, beginning of your research questions, or you're asking something. Uh, yeah, guys, you're asking something. Uh, can you come up with some questions like there are growing appeals for? Appeals for what? Anyone out there who can think of something? I mean, you have to be a bit ingenious, a critical thinker to come up with something. Anyone out there? Guys, anyone out there? There are growing appeals for what? These days, bringing equality, telemedicine. Oh, wow. Okay, telemedicine. Yeah, yeah. So could that be a good question? In fact, no. When you talk of one word and just the definitions and the history, that's not a critical question. Research on animal language is a long tradition. Yeah, yes, Arshad, I really agree with you that there is growing appeal for, I mean, like we can have gender discrimination removal or removal of all sorts of discrepancies among the youth, or could be consumer rights. These days we talk much about consumer rights and privacy because we are all online users and we can think of this is the field of study that deals with what the issue of the tradition of the aspect of most of the theories of or how we're focused on explaining. Now this will give you a new idea and a new paradigm of how to come up with a new question. Most of the theories, there could be already so many theories, but how are we going to differ? Focus on explaining this aspect, but my question is going to explain something else. For example, many of the people have talked about like the evil influence of these devices in the classroom teaching. But I can come up with, I'm explaining that how beneficial these devices could be if they are put to the right usage, in the right context, in the right age group. Am I making sense, guys? Guys. Okay. There are three major theoretical and conceptual, like there are already some of the theories and concepts regarding something. Now you are going to come up with something new, something of your own, something which has not been, deliberated in depth or certain aspect where You need to have your own focus, kind of very different approach, your own very different approach that has not been taken so far. And that's what is called the gap. I mean, finding the gap is what? You're not giving anything new. You mean the research approach? Yeah, the approach has to start from where someone has ended or where someone has not reached, right? I mean, where does your research, begin? Your research begins where someone has ended, or someone has left off, or someone hasn't reached, or someone has left on something, right? Yes, some gaps to fill, yeah. And those gaps are not easy to find because the researcher has spent his life on it. So it's not easy to find the gaps. So you have to be very bold, very critical. You have to have lots of sound knowledge of literature. How are you going to get the gaps, Gap finding. What will help you get the gaps? Guys, what will help you to get the gaps in the research? What will help you to get the gaps? Reading deep into literature, right, Ahmed? Yes. Reading reviews, right? Journals, entries, right? Research, literature, right? Right, guys? Yeah. So I showed you this is academic language that you're going to use, and you don't have to depart from it. Believe me, you have to be really, really sound when you come up with the language in the research. There is no room for any kind of grammatical error. If you make errors, finish. You're finished. I mean, like the moment you make an error in the language, you're done. That means your approach will be flawed and instant proposal. You're just, I mean, like they'll be thrown out of gear. Now, look at this flow chart of a research strategy. What kind of strategy you can adopt? Choose a topic, right? That's what a research question, right? Right, guys? Yes, Shadi. Yeah, you're right. In the conclusion section, research paper. Yeah. It's a good way of looking at the beginning where we have the abstract and the conclusion. When you go to the abstract and the conclusion, that will give you an eye, a keen eye into what the author, the writer, and journal writers they are coming up and trying to find. So abstracts and conclusions are easier, conclusive way of looking at information. And don't go for too many journal entries or not, because you will be lost in reading and reading. It's good to read, but there is a limit. So look for, and where will you find those articles and all that, journals? When you go to the bibliography section, now probably once you read the journal, go down, all the down. Yeah, abstracts. When you go to bibliography, you will find similar themes, similar topics broached upon. So choosing a topic, find background information. Now, don't choose a topic you don't have any idea about, you can't think of, you will be lost at, right? Suppose I know nothing about molecular chemistry. Can I do the research on that? Or molecular biology? Can I do the research on that? Maybe. Maybe, though that would be suicidal, man. Sharakari, that would be suicidal because something that's beyond my comprehension, beyond my limit, beyond my, I cannot endanger myself like that. So find background information that's important. Moreover, we all do the research to the field we belong to. Yeah, to the field we belong to. That's something that is dear to heart. So believe me, if you do the research that's not dear to your heart, you don't really like it, and you're not going to enjoy it doing throughout your life, you will be landed in, you already landed in trouble, believe me. I mean, you will have half-hearted and half-baked ideas, and you will push through, and you will struggle to get at the things. So something that really, you have a liking for, I simply say you have a liking for, or you're interested in, or you show some familiarity with. One must have a keen eye, which requires an adequate amount of coffee. Coffee? Ah, okay. Research is so enjoyable, but the rules are tough. Okay, you find it enjoyable, that means you are the research guy. I mean, that means you love digging deeper, you have a discernible pair of eyes, you're ready to invest all your energy and amount of time. Also, because there are so many other things to be done in life, right? It's not the research alone. And free time all your life responsibilities, yes. So let's look at this flowchart and how do we begin and how do we go about reference material. The reference material can be have from Google Scholar and those kind of journal entries. There are so many web and periodicals. Periodicals, what are periodicals, guys? Any idea? Yeah, ResearchGate is one great. Yeah, what are periodicals? Repeat, please. ResearchGate is a good idea. Periodicals, I'm entering it. So we have some of the scientific journals. They are issued quarterly, and that's a regular feature. So the best journals and all, the medical journals, they come periodically. You cannot come up with, I mean, every month and fortnightly, like, so we need to go for these periodical. Recently I've come across a news, Nobel laureate, he has to retract one of those researches from the paper. Science Direct, yes, Maram, yes, Science Direct. Now, have you heard of this? The Nobel laureate in the scientific research field, the guy has to retract two of his articles, journal entries, because it lacked credibility, and he felt like the kind of flowchart, the kind of data he has used wasn't authentic or was, repeated. Counter, yeah, Google Scholar is a good, yeah, of course, yeah, of course. Is the topic good? Is the topic narrow enough? Why narrow enough and why good? If it is narrow enough, you can zero in, like zooming in. It's like zooming. If you want to see something, like I'm trying to, like, look, I'm zooming in. Now, how do you find it? How do you find it, guys? Is it water clear? Is it crystal now? So it's like narrowing down is like zooming in a topic, zooming in your subject. So once you zoom in, you can see the intricacies, the problems. You can see the fallouts. You can see the what's going to be challenging, what cannot be there, what's not achievable. I mean, like some of the topics, they're not researchable, achievable within the time frame, within the kind of time or the energy you invest. So don't go for something beyond capacity. Now, where do you find the material, guys? Where do you find the material? Online catalog. What is a catalog? This is a listing of all the journals and entries, maybe alphabetical, maybe from the author side, maybe from those people who are researching. So the first name, the last name, the library. Yeah, you're right, the library. Even our King Abdulaziz University has a library. Dr. Basim was showing in the previous workshop how effective and how resourceful is that library. A list of books, million library, yeah. Then we have electronic databases. Electronic. I mean, you can access it from anywhere you like, just click. And then we have bibliographies. Well, bibliographies give you an authentic, links, resources, links, reference material. These are what your like tools to like your weapons. I'll call them your weapons. In order to kill, in order to achieve your locate, read, evaluate, and what, and what, guys? What else? Locate. So locations, all of these are locations, yeah? To read, to evaluate. How do you evaluate? This is the word you need to know. How do you evaluate? And what do we evaluate, guys? Explore. Critically, yeah. Actually, it's like judging the pros and cons. Evaluate, judging the pros and cons. That's evaluation. It has to be critical evaluation. Whether it's trustworthy, authentic. Yeah, you're right. Then we have some magazine articles, refer journals, web pages, newspaper articles. Believe me, newspaper articles are really authentic, sources. I really like newspaper articles because they give the first-hand information, current information, and very authentic, likely not to be colored, and gives you an insight into what's happening all around it. Additional sources, we have plenty of additional sources. It could be textbooks, be manuscripts. Now, guys, what do we manuscripts? I'm terrible at spelling these days, guys. Manuscripts. What do you understand from manuscripts, and why do we need them? Now, these days, if you want to really get into the manuscripts, you simply type in, just key in the first draft. No, I'm talking about the finished products. Finished products. Like they're already available online. And you can always look up to those manuscripts. I mean, dissertation thesis already uploaded. You go, just type in the name of the author, the references, the bibliographies, the sources. Yeah, it's already published. Yeah. No, I mean, what about those which already been published? It still has not been published. What about those which have already been published? Even those are manuscripts. I mean, before and after, the finished or unfinished or ongoing. It could have three situations, right? Guys, yeah, I mean, like, it could have, it's in the process of getting published. It could be published. It could be, already uploaded long time ago. So this is the flow chart that will really help you how to go about. Uh, Now, can you think of a question here, guys? Can you think of a question? Uh, what questions can we come up with our research? Would it be a good question? Can it make a good question? Homeless people, which in turn has an effect on how much money is being spent on charities such as food banks and homeless shelter. Do you get something? Dina, yeah, I'm talking about the word manuscript. People can publish the unfinished work. No, it's not about getting the unfinished work published. The word manuscript refers to all those body of knowledge in the book form, which are could be either in the process of being made or which may be uploaded. Got it? Dina, yeah. Got it? Yeah. That's a general broad term. When we talk about manuscript, it's a general broad term that covers all of them. Anyway, can it be a good question statement? Do you get anything out of this? I don't get anything out of this, right? Because that's so confusing, right? There are many homeless people, which in turn affect on how. Can you make out anything out of it? It doesn't talk sense. We cannot discuss it at length. It cannot be a research question because we are talking about homeless thing. We are talking about charity. We are talking about other things. Now look at this tree. Yeah. Now, if I show you, I mean, what do you say in this tree? Long statement, little meaningless. Yeah, yeah, Ahmed, yes. It doesn't make good sense because you can keep talking. So our research question has to be what? Precise, yeah, right? Precise, exact, right? Unambiguous, right? We should not leave the room for a number of different interpretations, right? Yeah, 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 specific, has to be specific, yeah. Yeah, step by step to the top. Yeah, 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 good. So this is a tree, ontology. Now, how we view the world, epistemology. What's epistemology? This is all about the theories, the paradigms, and the things that we think of. I mean, it's investigating. It's like philosophy. Epistemology is like what? Philosophy, right? Yes, yes, Shadul, yeah, you're right. It's the paradigm, the worldview, and then we have the methodology, like these things, what we reap, what we have the harvest. It could have give us fruits, it could have give us dead leaves, it could be useful to the world. Yes, the details of the anxiety, how we collect data. It will also present how complex it is to grow this tree. I mean, growing this tree will involve so many methodologies. I mean, the best collection of data and how to grow this tree so that it stays on the basis of epistemology and ontology. So ontology is the perception, right? Ontology, guys, ontology is the perception, our worldview, right? And the epistemology is already established what? Established theories, principles, and we're not going to change these. Are we going to change them? Guys, are we going to change epistemology? What is the true ontology? No, ontology can be no. We can. Yes, I should. Yes, we cannot change epistemology. I mean, it has taken thousands of years coming up with and loads of research. So you're not going to alter those researches from your research. What are you going to have? Your perception, your way of looking at things, and coming up with something may differ, but you're only trying to, prolong, elongate, advance. So, example please, epistemology, philosophy of life, philosophy of life. To tell you the fact, to understand it simply, it's a philosophy of life. For example, religious beliefs. Then we have, belief systems. Yeah, 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 yeah. Own philosophy. Yes, it could be your own, your belief systems. Okay. In order to understand it, your belief systems. Okay. Yeah, own belief systems. The one you have grown with, the one you are born with, grown with, right? All of us are grown with or born with some sort of belief systems, right? Yeah, so that's epistemology. So the whole body of investigation or literature is full of epistemology. Now we need to have a fresh look, a distinct eye, discernible eyes. We call it discernible pair of eyes. Discernible actually when it's we're being typed. I mean while typing, discernible pair of eyes for a fresh look. So what is research all about? How many of you agree? Guys, how many of you agree? What is research all about? It's all about what? Discovery. So how would you discover? Actually, we're not discovering anything. Ahmed, Ahmed, Hamisu, I can't discover anything in my life. Yeah, I'm not Einstein or I can't do any discovery. I can only investigate, coming with new point of view. Yes. So there are geniuses who come with discoveries. In fact, even they don't discover anything. Everything is already there. So we only find out. We only reach there. We only give a new facet, a new facet. You understand facet? Approach. Yeah. Yeah, from different angle. That's it. Yeah, yeah. You have said it. Yeah. It's only about approach. A world view of your own. World view of your own. So now, can you share some of your world views of your own, guys? I want some of you to share your views, your belief system, and I'll see whether that could trigger off a question for research or not. Give me something in the chat box. Guys, give me something in chat box. So we have uh, good research questions. We also have what? Sub questions, right? Why do we need sub questions? Any idea? Actually, sub questions are like those leaves and branches. Yeah, self-assessment can help learners beware their weaknesses and strength. Right. So it's more towards a fact than an opinion, right? Amira, self-assessment can help learners be aware of their weakness and strength. Okay, so is it your opinion or how factual it is? Yeah. To support the main research question, we need a sub-questions because that would form the planks. You know planks? Planks. So your main question will swim, will float on those sub-questions, right? So sub-questions are necessary. Now, research question should be easily and fully researchable, of course, should not be too narrow, too broad, or too challenging. Guys, why it doesn't have to be too challenging? Because if you can't find the fact, you have the data, if you can't do it within the time, what's the point? So research question deal with a topic or issue that sparks your own thoughts and opinion. This is very important. Sparking your own thoughts and opinion. Now, I cannot think for you. Can I think for you, guys? Yeah, might hinder research. Yeah, you're right. Guys, can I think for you? It should be inspiring. Yeah, it should be inspiring. So you are going to carve a niche. Carve a niche. Guys, how many of you are willing to carve a niche of your own? How many of you are willing to carve a niche of your own? Come on, come on. If you're ready for this, you can do the research. If you're not ready for this, research will be like like a wishful thinking. Okay, at least I got one hand raised. Yeah, that shows. Yeah, yeah. So you have to have a proven expertise and indomitable courage and your inner inner, belief, inner belief system that you're going to make it. Yeah, we're trying and hoping. Yeah, inshallah. Yes, 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 yes. Great. Nobody can think for you. You have to think for yourself. Whether it's coming with a question, or doing the research, collection of data, interviewing people, getting all the odds. So yes. Now, television. Give me some example, guys. Is it a good research question? Example. Is there a link between hours of television viewing and violent behavior in children aged 8 to 14? Could it be a good question? Can be, yes, can be. Can you add something to it? Okay, what about well-being of people? No, right? No, yeah? Yes, well-being of people? No. Okay, why? It's too broad, yeah? Well-being of people too broad. Explain why friendship is important to a person's well-being. So this is too broad. This is something narrowed, yeah? So this could make a good question, right? Okay, now tell me, uh, does this make a good question? Does France have a nationalized healthcare system? Now this is a yes/no question. Can it be a good question? No way. Yes/no question don't make a good question, right? Is no question at all. Is no, no, yeah. And their questions have a yes or no answer, can be answered by one word alone. So we never go for such questions. It's too narrow. What is the history of baseball? Too narrow, right? Too narrow, right? Yes. The question covered the scope of a research paper. Okay, does McDonald's or Burger King make a better, better burger? Yes, Dina. Yeah, yeah. Wait a minute. Good question will enable and inspire us to create sub-questions. Right, right. Because you will be trying to look at all the aspects. Look at other aspects. Right. Of course. Yeah. Good. Good. Good finding. Yes. Okay. Does McDonald's Burger King make a better burger? No way. The question calls for opinion. What does better mean? And would it be hard to research? Now, this is not a good way of. Okay, sub questions. See some example. Explain why friends are important to person's well-being. Yes. So, what are the traits of good? What are the traits? What do you mean by traits, guys? What do you mean by traits? Characteristics. Characteristics. Qualities. Yeah, yeah. Qualities. Correct. Okay. So, explain why friendship is important to a person's well-being. A good question, and then we have sub-questions. What characteristics describe each trait of good friendship? Yeah, the behavior, the approach, So, okay, look at this. Good or bad? Which one is bad? Harmful. Now we don't know it is the whole world or for a particular section, a community, or bad question. Harmful is a vague term. How do privacy policies affect users of Facebook and Twitter? Good or bad? Clearer and more specific, right? Guys, yeah, good. Can you come up with a question? Good question, guys, quickly. How do change it? How do how do anyone out there? Just change the idea. How do maybe privacy of the consumers, right, affect online shopping? Can it be a good question? Can it be a good question? Yeah, how do telemedicine affect the healthcare? Shadi, no, no. When it's how do tele affect? No, you're being very, very direct. It doesn't talk much about. Yes, yes, yes. Actually, it's not easy to come up with a question, guys. No, no, you can't. You have to think hard. How do the early morning class affect the performance of students? Early morning class affects the performance of students. Now, isn't it too narrow or too wide? Now, where? Which places? What is the cultural aspects of it? Now, if you just add, how do the people in the first shift, like in the morning, we have two shifts, right? An afternoon. When you talk about how do the students in the first shift feel about, or they there is a quality difference between the performance of those students taking in the morning and in the afternoon, right? Now, if you just reword it, Ahmed, if you just reword it, it will give you more room to ask about, and it will give you a clearer and better picture and allow you to do better research and better findings, right? Right, guys? Okay, what is the effect of environment from the global warming? Good or bad? Too bad. Why? Environment is for everybody. We don't know. The whole world. Is the whole world, yeah? Is the whole world, right? Too general, yeah? How is the melting of glacier ice affecting penguins in Antarctica? Yeah, now at least we're talking about penguins, yeah? So actually we're narrowing down and we're talking about environmental disasters. So it's more focused. This is one example, simply one example of. I mean, this is not there are hundreds of ways of coming with. So okay, I'm simply giving you some of the questions. Now, how do you write these questions, guys? Have you got something now or not? And have you got something in your head to deliberate to think about what makes a good questions? Yeah. So yes. So like choose a general topic that interests you. I mean your inspiration, your perspiration. So I call it and inspiration and what? Can you read these two words, guys? Inspiration and come on, guys. Inspiration that comes within. Yeah, comes within. Ideas, your motivation, your interest, your intrinsic, extrinsic motivation from depth. What's perspiration? That means you have to work hard. Yes, very, very. I mean, it's a hard work. Believe me, doing research is a hard work. It takes a lot. It takes a toll on your health, on your psyche, on your mood, on your temperament. There will be loads and loads of frustrating moments in your life, while doing researches. Do you agree, guys? But believe me, what comes towards the end of your research is so rewarding, so sweet, so pleasant to savor that you will not repent that you spend so much time on the research. So why, what, when, all these are the driving questions to come up with. Okay, now suppose you have come up with a question and you're not sure of whether it works or not. Who will help you, guys? Guys, who will help you whether it's a good question or bad question? Supervisor, not always, not always. Why supervisor alone? He's also a human being. You cannot kill him for everything. Yes, yes, yes. Your critical friend, right, right. Your peer, your group members, even your friends, families, your near dear ones, your acquaintances. This reminds me of Tesla. He has such great mansion, but less perspiration to get his work created. Dina, who said less perspiration? Tesla, 1,000 failures before he could launch a satellite, before he could launch all those, carriers, reusable satellites in the space. Do you want me to give a lecture on Tesla? I can give a lecture for an hour on Tesla. Believe me, loads and loads of perspiration. And it's not simply 1,000 failures. It's not one time. In fact, the guy got broke once. He was crying. He was bankrupt, but still didn't give up. Didn't give up. So research is like we don't give up easily. Which topic is the favorite? Why do they like this specific? What challenge do they foresee? So your friend, your trusty guide. Everyone has a trusty guide. Believe me. So he will let you, bail out of this situation where you cannot see it clearly. I just feel bad for him that it's time no one recognized work. Ah, the whole world is recognizing now. The whole world is recognizing now, right? Okay, so a good question to sum up. I'm simply got 10 minutes left. A good question to start with. Clear, focused, concise, researchable, right? Right? Guys, it has to be workable, yeah? Okay, look at this. Creates path for research process. Yeah, it's a path, you know. Shows this is the tiny steps. It's a tiny step toward. Guys, writing. Avoids overwhelming all of our. Overwhelming means too challenging. You give up. You just give up, you know. Support specific topic thesis. Keeps project manageable. So you need to have something that's really manageable and within the frame. A double check what you know. I mean, like sometimes we are mistaken. We don't know actually really we know about the topic or not. Learn what you don't understand. I mean, there's no harm, no shame in asking your friends and colleagues and your, of course, supervisor will be there, not all the time. This is the only place where wiki may be helpful, pre-research. I mean, when you're digging something, most teachers will not accept wiki as a source, but still you can find some. You're writing for a teacher, general understanding, guides topic choice, guides formation research questions. So these are the rudimentary, you know, and now see the way we go about, you know, how to go about. Uh, we have an abstract, we have introduction, we have literature review. I mean, it's a, you know, a sketchy plan, sketchy plan for your research. Actually, Dr. Basim has done so much on it. I'm really grateful to him for such a, you know, extensive and elaborate description of all the stages that involves in research and dissertation. So this is sketchy plan: abstract, introduction, literature review, research methodology. I've talked about data analysis. I didn't talk about much because that doesn't concern me now. Sir, I heard that asking questions about so much readings and research. Research might change questions several times to meet the requirement. Yeah, you're right. Right. Head on. Yes. You're right. Sometimes you may be misled by the questions. Yes, misled by your questions. So you need to go for reviewing your questions. Reviewing, yes. So research methodology, data analysis, results, conclusion, and bibliography. This is the end of, you know, like your research will be here, bibliography. So if you include all of these, your research will be ready to go under. Now, see, do you find this what comes to your mind? What do you feel? How do you feel? Do you feel pathetic? Do you feel elated, pathetic? See this girl, this woman. Look. Wow. You say wow, or you sympathize with her. Finding a research questions like, look, the loads and loads of. I mean, it's not so daunting. It's not such a daunting task to come with a research question, you know? But you need to have an extensive reading about that. That's for sure. Yeah, it's not an easy pursuit. Yeah, that's true. So you will be lost. You will be lost sometimes in this jungle, in this ocean. You have to delve deeper to get the right pearls. A long way to go. Not an easy job, right, Ahmed? Yes. So uh, to repeat, to recapitulate, what is the research question, guys? Can you repeat after me, guys? Can you repeat after me? Yeah, enjoy the ride and it's worth it. Yes, you're right. But you need to rein in the horse. Rein in the horse. If you want to enjoy the horse riding, right? Right? Dina, right? Yeah. Okay, a research question about a topic, answer research. Say, what is the research question? To recapitulate, once again, I've got a couple of minutes left to wind up. For what is the research question? It's one sentence. It's one sentence. What? One sentence. Questions about a topic, right? Right, guys. I was hiding this. I was hiding from you. I wanted you to come up with this. What is this question? It's a one sentence question about a topic that gets answered with your research. Do you agree, guys? Agreed. Agreed. Largely, yeah. Yeah, largely. You don't have to agree fully. Okay. All right. Now, how do you develop? How do you develop? First, identify topic. Then, then what? Refine, yeah. Refine, yeah. Searching, yeah. Refinement, narrowing, yeah. Then, then what, guys? Then what? Ask some questions like what? How? Who? Who is it for? Who is going to participate? Who am I targeting at? Who is my pressure group? Who are my pilot programs? Who is my pilot? Who are I'm going to experiment with? Where is going to be searched? Which place? Locations? Is it too wide? Is too narrow? Is it a complex? Is it our university premises? What I'm going to look at? Subtopics, looking at background informations, when, historical, in the perspective, causative event, or area of study. I mean, how? What kind of information I'm going to include? And primary sources, just statistics. I mean, there are secondary and primary sources. Guys, you know the sources, primary and secondary, right? I mean, where do we get the information from? Primary and secondary, yeah. So how will tell you, are we getting the kinds of information primary or statistics, or what is the methodology we're using? Are we using the direct, indirect, or mixed or hybrid? Yeah? Yes? Okay. So we are done with this. Come on, come on. I'm simply reminding you again. I'm simply reminding you again. Specific, measurable, realistic, not too narrow, less narrow, too objective, more subjective. I mean, remember all these things when you think of this question. Okay, okay, okay. What are we going to include in your research, guys? This is a general checklist of what do you include in your research. Now, what do you come first? Guys, what do you come first? Question, right? Then we have observation, then we have planning, then we have collecting data, then we have recording data, then we have organizing data, right? Right? So this is a checklist. We have to check all of them to reach to the point, to the core of the onion. Do you remember the onion? If you want to reach the core of the onion, you must complete this checklist. Okay. I'm not yet there, but still I'm there. I believe, I think that I have been able to dispel some of your doubts, some of your queries, some of your concerns. I have been able to address some of your genuine concerns and all. I'm not a good researcher. I'm not a one who would, really prescribe things and with loads of past experience and all that. But still, I believe that if you go by a clear conscience, with a clear mind, with loads of belief systems and your professional integrity, and you're going to reach stage of your in your life, in your research, where you'll be okay. Thank you so much. I don't know whether I'm left with some time for questions.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mohammad Haseen. It was a wonderful, very informative, and also interactive workshop. Thank you so much, and thank you also for the audience for their participation. We really enjoyed this workshop. So thank you again, and I think let's have one or two questions from the audience. I guess you responded to all questions during the workshop. So yes, my pleasure, Shadi. So we are doing our best. And by the way, I shared with you three links. So the first one is the evaluation form. Please complete the evaluation form. So you will get the certificate. Make sure you write your email correctly and your name as well. The second link is our booking system. So we provide on-campus, face-to-face, and online services for those who need someone or writing specialist to check their writing. Please book appointment and or stop by the writing center in both campuses, in male and female campuses. And the third link here is the YouTube channel, our YouTube channel. Inshallah, we will upload this workshop within inshallah 24 or 48 hours. Inshallah, share, like, and subscribe in our YouTube channel, and inshallah, we will receive your certificate again in 24 to 48 hours. Inshallah. So, Shada here has a question, or yes, how can we not bias? I mean, the raised because we are already have.
Is this a chat box? If it's in the chat box and I can read the question, that'd be great. Or you can offer the mic to the guys, they can open up the mic. Can be unmuted. Dr. Basim, could you please repeat the question?
Yeah, the question here: how can we not be biased?
Yeah, that's very difficult not to get biased. All of us are human beings. All of us have our belief system, our own prejudices. But when we think of researching, think from a clear-cut mind that you are going to look at the people from their perspective, from your target group's perspective, not from your own perspective. And don't try to bring your personal likes, dislikes, whims, fancies. Keep away from the people who are your favorites or those you really associate as your confidence. So mostly the research target audience should be a good mix of people from outside world, and they should come from all strata of society, not exclusive.
All right. Thank you so much. And I think that's all for today. Again, thank you for the attendance, for participating, and thank you, Mr. Muhammad. And enjoy the rest of your evening.
Thank you so much, Dr. Basim. Thank you, everyone, guys. It's my pleasure being with you for a while. Hoping all of you becoming a good researcher and coming up with your research projects, getting through